Privilege means entitlement, and when someone is entitled, they will do whatever they think is right to get what they want, whether it be destroying stuff, whether it be taking stuff, whether it be throwing a temper tantrum. Like, look at those videos where kids go into the store and they want a toy, and the parent says no, and they just bust out on the floor screaming and throwing a tantrum. That is a proof of privilege and entitlement. Oh, I've graduated high school, so don't blame me on that one. I'm not going to tell you which Walmart I work at. No, I'm not, I have no issues being broke. It actually makes me more financially responsible. So I'm not worried about the whole you broke. No, like I actually prefer to stay broke because it makes me think smarter. Think, okay, when do I get to pay? When do I have to pay this? I got to work things around. Like, that actually makes me financially more responsible and smarter. So I'm not worried about being broke. But I'm just saying that if I can't go into a store and rob it blind, then I don't have that privilege, because I've seen videos where people will go into a Best Buy and just drag TVs out, grab big racks of clothes and just go, and no one knows who they are. That's privilege. No, I'm not saying I want to rob. I'm just stating the obvious. If I were to do it, I would go straight to jail because I'm not privileged. But yet, if someone else were to do it, they wouldn't get stopped. They would literally be put on WorldStar or YouTube or TikTok as like a viral thing. Like, there's no such thing as white privilege, but there is black privilege. That is a thing. See, like, I enjoy hearing people like, where's it at? Like D agreeing with me because he knows I'm speaking facts. I've already explained this countless times. Black privilege is the predominant thing in America right now, and white people are the most stereotyped race, most want to feel the effects of racism and oppression. We are the ones that gets discriminated against. And if you can't see that, then that means you are allowing the problem to go on and on. Oh, I'm not mad. Trust me, I am not mad. There's nothing that could happen to me personally that would make me mad. But I'm just stating that these are the problems that I see in America today, and trying to bring up a possible solution. Like, anytime the school system, it's always blamed on the white man. Whenever it's the police, the policing, it's always the white man's fault. The way that the country was founded, it's always the white man's fault. Slavery, it was the white man's fault. Like, no. Not everything is the white man's fault, and that's a stereotype. That's a form of racism that we face. Oh, it's like white people make the way America is as bad as it is. So you are just perfect angels. Like, you've never done anything bad. You've been the perfect model citizen. You take no accountability for anything bad that happens. Like, really? Like, everything's my particular race's fault. But yet, you don't want to acknowledge any wrongdoings on y'all's part? Like really? That sounds pretty privileged to me. It's like, I've literally joined lives, and they complain about everything wrong with America, and guess what I always hear? Man, the YT people, they made this country this way. Our churches, or our school system, the foster care, the policing, the university, it's all us. Like, really? They always want to blame somebody else and rarely want to take accountability for their own actions. Like, you see people robbing. Why don't you own up to what you just did? Or, this small group of people commit this many homicides per year. Or this many, black individuals want to commit crimes on this many black individuals in the 1 year. Why don't you want to take accountability that that's a thing? But yet, every time I go into one of them, it says black on black crime doesn't exist. Really? I'm just saying that right now, blacks are the most privileged group in America. Where's my White History Month? There we go. There's a month for the LGBTQ community. There's a month for there's a day for the veterans. There's a month for blacks. But where's the White History Month? Where's the Asian History Month? Like, we don't have a month. We don't have any days. The fact that you get a whole month to talk about nothing but what y'all have accomplished, like, that's privilege. So I'm just saying, like, there's so many things that in America that they cater to one specific group. And when you give so many privileges to a specific group, you have to, by definition, by default, you have to oppress either one or more other groups. You have to. Like, if I have two kids, for example, I have two kids. One of them, I give them all the games. I give them everything the kid wants. But I don't do the other one because I'm only focusing on this one kid. I therefore, whether it be unintentional or not, I am setting him up to fail. I am oppressing him. So when you pander to one group, you always neglect and you disadvantage the other group. I'm just giving an example. It's not that I'm not saying like that. I'm just saying, when America, let's say America is the parent. You have the white community and you have the black community. When you're pandering to the black community all the time, you cannot be pandering to the white because you're going to disadvantage them. You're going to get this. Hey, appreciate the roses, Proto. It's not a victim mentality. It's just facts. You cannot give everything that one community. You have to. It is the same. When you say, okay, you know what? You can get into college at a lower score because you're black, but you got to go to school and get the standard score. That's proof. That is racism right there that white people face. You're allowing one community to get in easier based off of their skin than the other person or the other group. That is obvious racism. Like, Proto, can you not agree to that? Like, does that make sense to you, Proto? How else would they get into college? Let's see. Study and take the test and pass it like everyone else. If you don't pass it, then you don't get in. If you want something bad enough, you will do whatever you got to do it, to get it done. Appreciate the gift, the crown. Yay. Much love to you. So, and here's also another way that Asians, specifically in this whole situation, Asians are actually penalized for getting the score that I would get. Because if you get anything less than a certain amount as an Asian, you get points marked off. So they're held to a higher standard to get into college. Whereas I have to get the base points, and then blacks have to get a lower. It's like the same thing with the military. Men have to do X amount of pull-ups to pass the test, whereas women have to do less than that. That is obvious sexism. You either meet the same standard as the guys, keep the bar at the same amount for both genders, so there's no disadvantage, there's no inequality there. So if you want to join the military, you got to pass the test just like everyone else. So the same thing with the college. You want to get into this college? Pass the test with the same score or better as that person. There's no difference in the behavior or in the ability to pass. You either do it or you don't. And I can think of a lot of really, really smart scientists that went to college and passed the test to get in at the same rate or higher than any other race. It doesn't matter your color. Just pass the test and you get in. You don't pass it, you don't get in. How it should be. What time is it? 10:30? I'm about to go in there and get some groceries. So if you're going to allow one group to have their own history month, like Black History Month, for example, you must give an Asian History Month, a White History Month, a couple other history months. You know what I'm saying? Or if you're going to allow one group to not be policed in a certain fashion, you got to make it to where all police do the exact same thing for every other community. You got to literally make it fair, or you cause discrepancies. You cause people to be treated differently, which causes issues. Exactly. You police equally. You get into college equally. You get into the military equally. Because if you don't, you cause a problem. Okay, so yeah, I didn't even know there was an Asian Heritage Month. I didn't even know that. So, okay, so there's an Asian History Month. There's a Black History Month. Where's the White History Month? Where's the Native American Indian, the Native Indian Month or History Month? Where are all these other ones? You get a LGBTQ history a month, which is June. You get Black History Month, which is February. I don't know when the Asian History Month is. Where's the White History Month? Why do I not need one? We got to be fair. You can't be racist towards me and say you don't get one because you're white. Oh, if natives do have a month, so that's even more of proof that racism towards white people exists. Okay, Veterans Day is for one day, and it's for anyone who joins the military. So that means it could be for whites, blacks, Asians, freaking Australians, Europeans. It could be for everybody. So it's not specifically for me. You know, like there's Black History Month, which is specifically for blacks. There's LGBT Month, Pride Month, for people who are in that specific community. Where's my month? Oh, there isn't one because that's a form of racism that we face. I'm not saying it's a problem. Me personally, I don't care. I'm just saying that this is, yet another example of the racism and oppression that whites face. Independence Day is more or less like the birthday of the country, so it's not really for any one person, it's for everybody in the country. So it doesn't really count. I personally don't watch hockey. I honestly don't watch any sports. I would rather play a sport than watch a sport. Okay, so May is for Military Appreciation Month. So May is for all of military. It's not for all white military or, all white non-military citizens. It's only for people who are in the military. See what I'm saying? Wait. I just saw something. Give a second. Okay, right here. This is proof of the fact that he doesn't know what he's talking about. Blacks were freed from slavery in about the 1840s, 1850s, I believe, if I remember correctly. But there were white Caucasian slaves in the Middle East up until like the 1940s, 1950s. So a whole extra 100 years later than when the blacks were freed. So because the 1940s was basically my grandpa's time period, I actually could say, where's my reparations from that? But you don't see me asking about that because that particular time period didn't affect me specifically. I didn't experience that. So I don't have to ask for reparations for something that never occurred to me. I appreciate the gifts. Much love, much love. No, I'm just saying, it doesn't matter. There was blacks owned as slaves in Africa before they were shipped over here. So technically those people get reparations from the people who owned or who ran the countries in Africa. I don't have to pay for that because they were already enslaved before they even got here. So why should I have to pay for something that didn't even start with us? So if you're going to demand reparations from the white man because they at one point gained ownership of them, then you also have to agree to own for reparations for every single Caucasian that's been enslaved, every Asian, every Egyptian, every Chinese, Japanese, Australian, every person that's ever been, or every race that has ever been enslaved, you must give reparations to them as well. No, it does not. There is not a single effect of slavery that affects us in a negative way today. There is not a single one. And I can prove it because you have things like the anti-discrimination law. You cannot discriminate somebody based off of the skin color. So that immediately prevents the whole argument of systemic racism. That's not a thing. Redlining has been banned since the 1960s, I believe it was. That is no longer legal. They can no longer do that. And if they do it, you could file a lawsuit. If a school doesn't accept you just because of your skin color, you could sue that school. That's why we have the Anti-Discrimination Act. Race, gender, sex, orientation, mental state, sexual, gender identity, all of these are protected class that you cannot discriminate against. So the systemic racism does not exist. Now, individual racism does. That is very much a thing. People can still be ignorant to, reality. That is definitely a definitely a reality in today's time. There are still people who see other races as inferior to themselves. I will admit that. But what they think about you has no effect on you going out and getting a job, getting the career that you want, getting the car you want, getting the bank account you want, going to whatever school you want. There is nothing in America's law today that would prevent you from doing such. What's up, Otis? I'm just saying, anybody who feels like they are discriminated against because of their skin color in terms of systemic racism, it doesn't exist. White privilege doesn't exist. Now, black privilege, that does indeed exist and can be verified and proven. That is very much a thing. There's no such thing as systemic racism. No institution can legally discriminate against you because of your skin color. It is not legal. So whenever somebody commits something that is illegal, you can either sue them or charge them with a crime. So systemic racism is not a thing. It is a thing of maybe the 1940s to 1960s, but when the Anti-Discrimination Act was passed, it killed it. All that discrimination based off of color, it's no longer a thing. It stopped dead in the water right then and there. Oh, I'm very educated. You cannot discriminate against anyone based off of their skin color, except the white man. That is the only legal one, because everything is their fault, and because of the social status of basically the black community rising up, they are being pandered so hard that they allow any kind of actions to be taken towards the white people, and they are told to just roll over and take it. This is what you get for what happened in the past. But what happened 200 years ago, with my ancestors to your ancestor, has nothing to do with me or anybody in today's generation. I was never a slave owner, nor was anybody in today's time a slave. It's irrelevant now. Police brutality? Okay, I will agree that there are some pretty rotten cops out there. But out of all the videos I have personally seen of I'm guessing you're talking about a white cop on a black individual, okay? I have literally seen a cop pull the person over for a legitimate reason, ask very nicely, like, hey, I need your license, your registration, and proof of insurance, and the black individual became confrontational immediately. So if I were in that shoe, if I was a police officer and I had some individual that I've never met just go off on me, start cussing at me, yelling at me, being disrespectful, just aggressive, I'm going to assume that they want to do me harm, and I'm going to protect myself. But if you were to get pulled over and be like, yes, sir, what can I do for you? License, registration, proof of insurance. Yes, sir. Here you go. And then if the cop tells you to get out the car, by law, you're actually supposed to get out of the car on the first time. So the fact that you don't get out and they have to drag you out, that's not police brutality. That's literally them saying, hey, I have told you to get out the car. I am lawfully telling you to get out, which he is. You're refusing to do so, so I'm going to drag you out. That's not police brutality. That is literally saying you are setting yourself up to be in a position where you get drug out. Because I've been told to exit my car one time, and I literally got out. Did I ever receive a single bruise? Nope, because I did what the cop says. So I'm not justifying the police brutality. Like when you have like 4 or 5 cops beating up on one guy. I don't agree with that. I am completely against that kind of behavior, and cops like that need to be brought up on charges and put in prison. That's what they need to do. But because the police, the way that police are, they're basically more of a gang than really a group to protect us. That's no longer a thing. Like, they're not here to protect us. They're here to get money and put people away, regardless if they're innocent or not. And I think that whole system needs to be abolished and remade. But there are cops out there who do crappy things like that. Yes, I would trade my life for a black person. If I kept my mentality as I am now, with all the knowledge I have, and I just swapped over, I would have every day exactly the same as I am now. I would. I've literally grown up in the hood. I've been in multiple cities, in the worst parts of them, for multiple months at a time. A few of them, I was in there for a few years. So I understand the way that things go. That's why when I went up to Detroit recently for a concert, I knew exactly how to behave to prevent somebody from jumping me. I know that when you're in a situation where there's people fighting, you don't get involved. You mind your own business. I lived in Detroit for about a year, and I never once got into a problem because I knew what the hell to do. I knew how to behave that would keep me out of a target of some individual. Yes, I'm telling you, I only grew up in like white neighborhoods for about 4 years. And then after that, I went from city to city in North Carolina that were predominantly black cities, and most of those cities were in the hood. I'll give you a few examples. Kinston. Look up Kinston, North Carolina. Look up New Bern, North Carolina, and look up Wilmington, North Carolina. Every single one of those I lived in for at least a year, and they're all majorly gang owned. But yet I never had an issue in any of them. The only city, well, actually it's kind of like a half and half, was Jacksonville. If I went to certain areas of Jacksonville, I would have problems. But if I went to other areas, it wouldn't be an issue. But anyways, I'm about to get off here. I got to go in there and do some grocery shopping, and I will be on tomorrow around the same time. So peace, guys.